Welcome to Court Case. I'm Judge JD, and at the moment, all the talk in the NBA is around the greatness of Steph Curry, the pursuit of the all-time record for three-pointers made in league history, and we know the chase is on for Ray Allen's record. But as Steph continues to forge himself into the history books as arguably the greatest shooter in NBA history, we know that he's earning his respect. We know that he's on the verge of earning one of the biggest individual records in basketball. But it's actually his teammate that's giving me the hot take for this week. So shout out to Draymond Green, because he said that this record will only last for between 5 and 6 years. That means it's going to be broken sooner than we think. Now, I heard Reggie Miller talk about holding the record for 13 years. We don't know how long Ray Allen's going to hold this record for. But what I will turn around and say is it's an achievement, and Steph has still got years to play in this league. So we know that it probably will be broken again, gentlemen, in terms of the numbers and of course, the way that the league is at this moment in time. But I don't know if I can agree. 5 or 6 years. Steph Curry's still going to be putting buckets down today. So I'm going to leave this open to you, Mo. How do you feel about Draymond's take that this record will be broken in 5 or 6 years, regardless of what the number is?
So I heard this take and I tried to do the calculations.
Here we go.
Maths, because you've got to bear in mind that tonight we're recording this and Steph Curry is about to go into Madison Square Garden. If all goes according to plan, he's only 2 shots away from beating Ray Allen's record, okay? Let's say, for example, Steph Curry plays 5 more years in the league. Mm-hmm. Steph Curry, well, there's only two players in the history of the NBA who have made more than 300 threes in a single season, right? One is James Harden, who did it once.
Facts.
And Steph Curry's done it 4 times. Okay, so we say if Steph Curry's going to average 300 threes a season, okay, probably more. If he plays 5 more seasons, it's another 1,500 threes going on to that record. So let's look at the players that are behind him. James Harden, who's 1 year younger than Stephen Curry, but is in arguably worse shape and condition. So is he going to play as more seasons than Steph? He's 463 threes behind. Dame is 2 years younger than Steph and 863 three-pointers behind. So those guys aren't going to catch up with Steph unless, you know, something crazy happens. So those guys aren't going to catch Steph. Then we look at the guys who are a little bit younger. Now, Steph has hit 2,972 threes in 788 career games. Donovan Mitchell hit 804 threes in just 302 games. He's the fastest player, aside from Buddy Hield, to reach 800 career-made 3-points. Now, we're not going to talk about Buddy Hield because he's on the Sacramento Kings and that's just all chaos. So we're just going to... We're going to leave that out.
We're going to talk about Buddy.
If Donovan Mitchell plays 10 more years and hits 175 threes a season, which is what he's kind of been on track for the last few years, he's still going to finish with less than Ray Allen. So I don't see anyone coming to beat Stephen Curry's record. The player that's going to beat Stephen Curry's record by the time he retires, I don't think he's in the league right now. I think he's in primary school, or maybe they're not even born yet. Because Stephen Curry, what people don't understand is he's a special talent. Not only did he change the game of basketball, what he did that's different to Ray and Reggie and the other guys on that list is the majority of his shots have come off the dribble. He's shooting and letting it fly as soon as he crosses half court. Now, as much as teams want to emphasize three-point shooting and guys want to work on three-point shooting, Stephen Curry is a special, unique talent that I don't think we're going to see again, because you've got to factor in his father was one of the sharpest shooters of his time in the NBA.
Shout out to Del.
He grew up around NBA players. He grew up practicing on NBA courts. You see all these videos of Steph and Steph when they were kids practicing before games on NBA court. He's had a perfect storm almost to hone his craft and learn from the very best in the business. Now, I don't know when we're going to see another player of this caliber and this ability, because it's not just three-point shooting Steph Curry's great at. Steph Curry's a great golfer. Steph Curry's great at ping pong. His hand-eye coordination is on a whole different level. That's what people do not understand.
And his splash, brother, has definitely elevated. You're only as good as the people that you keep around you. And I know for a fact Klay Thompson would have been pushing Steph every day in training camps, in practices, in routines. Those guys have elevated each other in their games. So, BJ, I want to know, from your perspective, Draymond believes, I think he's talking about the trajectory in terms of what we're looking at in the league and how the game has, let's be honest, become a three-point shooting contest sometimes. But that doesn't really factor in the fact that Steph's still great and has achieved or is about to achieve something that's going to go down in the history books forever. So where do you stand on Draymond's take?
Well, you don't want to take away anything from the greatness of Steph Curry and what he's achieving right now. And it's certainly incredible. And when you look about what he's been able to do, is not only the accuracy in which he's shooting, it's the volume. I mean, he's getting up a lot of shots. You know, the other night, I think he was down like 15, and you can see he took like 16 threes. He's going for it, and that's realistic for him. I think what Draymond is saying is the following. When I first saw, Connie Hawkins, when I first saw Spencer Haywood, I thought, wow, these guys can dunk and jump and all of these things. And all of a sudden, Dr. J comes around, you go, we'll never see a better dunker than Dr. J. And then all of a sudden, Michael Jordan comes around. And then all of a sudden, Vince Carter comes around. So I think what you're saying is, I think Draymond is saying what Steph Curry has done is he's inspiring the next generation. So the inspiration of Steph Curry is undeniable. What he's done is he's inspired a generation of players where everyone now is shooting the threes, and they're shooting them at a volume in a way which you hadn't seen before. You've seen some great shooters in this league, but you've never seen a shooter that's been able to do it with the level of accuracy and the volume in which he's shooting. So I think the inspiration that Steph Curry has done, he's shown us, and he's a small guy, I think will only inspire the next generation wherever that player will come from. And you'll continue to see the game evolve, and you'll continue, believe it or not, you will see a better shooter. It's inevitable. It will happen. But I think it's a great achievement, and certainly Steph Curry will go down as one of the greatest, if not the greatest shooter of all times.
I can't believe that this was said. But, BJ, you said something that was really profound right there. He believes at some point we're going to see a better shooter than Steph Curry.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, if I ever have a kid, it's going to be right there.
I think we can all agree, though, the verdict that, Dre, I respect you. Shout out to everything you do down in the Bay Area, but I can't agree with you on this one, King, because I do believe that Steph will hold this record for a long, long time, and it won't be broken in the next 5 to 6 years. But since we're talking about things that are effectively happening right now, I think we should maybe discuss something that's happening this year, and that's the progression of the Washington Wizards. And we all sat there and we looked at what Tommy Shepard did in the summer when we thought to ourselves, oh, this is a massive move. To turn around and say you're going to get an all-star off of your roster like Russell Westbrook, and you're going to bring in Montrezl Harrell, KCP, Kyle Kuzma, Aaron Holiday, and of course Spencer Dinwiddie. Most people say in the NBA you shouldn't break up what is a significant piece for smaller pieces. But that's been disproven this year. And I'm actually going to go as far as to say the Wizards have actually won this trade when you look at the overall picture and the direction the franchise is going in right now. BJ Armstrong, put that GM hat on for me for a minute as you sit up. I love this because this is sometimes a hard decision, and it's a brave decision that GMs and they make right there and then. But Tommy lived by his words, and right now the Wizards are producing. So how do you feel about it?
Well, I feel terrific about what he has done. And what Tommy Shepard has done is what we talk about all the time. You guys heard me say this, and I'll continue to repeat it. There's two ways that you win, and you have to win in whatever team you are in the NBA, all 30 teams. You have to have talent, is without question, and you have to have depth. Well, Tommy Shepard went out and added depth to his team by adding Spencer Dinwiddie, by adding Kyle Kuzma, by adding Montrezl Harrell. When you have depth, when you have rotational players, you're going to go out there as long as you play hard. They are well coached. They are very talented as a group. They may not have the superstar, but they have very talented players on their roster, and they're going to win their fair share of games. So when you add depth to a team with talent, this is the type of result you should look for. So I think Tommy Shepard stayed principled to the rules of the NBA and how to build roster construction of an NBA team. And to us who's following the game, this is no surprise. Those are some very talented players. They may not be the superstars, but when you look at rotational players, without question, those three in particular are rotational players. And then you add the other players that they already have on their roster. This is what you get. So you know what? Give those guys credit. I think right now they are for real. They look like they can get to the playoffs. And if you're not careful, they can win a round or two.
Okay. I want you lot to come on a sort of look into the future for me for a second. Because, BJ, come on this journey with me. I can't wait to understand the future GM in this league, how you're going to break this down. Me as an NBA presenter who's going to be covering the NBA for decades upon decades, I can't wait to dissect when you're going to be stuck in this situation. Because there's going to come a time, Mo, as a future GM in this league, where you're going to have an Asian superstar on a massive contract. And I can't wait to break down what you're going to do. So you tell me right now, Did Tommy Shepard win this trade?
This was a mastermind chess move by Tommy Shepard and the Washington Wizards. First of all, it's the second ever 5-team trade that's gone down that I can remember. I think the Celtics were involved in one with Antoine Walker going to the Heat many, many years ago. But this trade was very intricate on so many different levels. I'm going to break down, I made a few notes for you. I'm going to break down a few of these different elements. The first thing you have to understand is Russell Westbrook wanted out of the Washington Wizards and he went to the LA Lakers. How did this happen? Well, you actually have to go back to the Anthony Davis trade with the New Orleans Pelicans, because to facilitate that trade happening, the Washington Wizards took on salary in Isaac Bonga, Mo Wagner, and a few others. So they helped the Lakers get their guy, Anthony Davis. So now, when they're looking around this summer saying, all right, we need to increase our depth, as BJ said, we need more length on the perimeter, on the wings, we need an inside presence. Well, the Lakers, they need a superstar to come and make a big three. All right, cool. We're operating in good faith now. He's built a great relationship. He can be trusted. So they made that deal. But look at all the other pieces they got. So I said they need the length on the wings, so they went and got KCP, Kuzma. They need the inside presence. They've got Montrezl Harrell, who was, dominating at the start of the season, scoring on the inside. But then look at the other guys. Aaron Holiday, they actually wanted him before the draft, before Indiana picked him. They wanted to pick him. And then you look at it from the financial side of things. They sent Chandler Hutchinson to San Antonio as part of this trade so that they avoided the luxury tax payments and they created some more cap space, because then they wouldn't have been able to afford to sign Spencer Dinwiddie outright. That's why they had to operate the sign and trade with the Brooklyn Nets. And they were operating in good faith with Spencer Dinwiddie because he was taking a discounted rate when they were trying to assemble the KD and Kyrie team, which is basically a long roundabout way of saying they've assembled a team that's 11 players deep, and they've got Thomas Bryant and Rui Hachimura coming back from injury. This may be the best team they put around Bradley Beal, because you've had to do it this season because he's got a player option next year, and you have to convince him, we are trying to put the right pieces around you. You are our guy. We're not just trying to bring in a big name. We're trying to build a team that plays to your strengths and can provide what you need to compete in this league.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. BJ Armstrong, I'm going to set the scene for you right now. We're going to be in the Staples Center doing the live broadcast for NBA Finals at some point. And we're going to ask our friend Mo, who's got to walk downstairs because he's going to be the GM of the Los Angeles Lakers, to come downstairs and I'm going to ask you about a trade that you made and the decision that you made when you were in the same situation. I'm going to ask you to keep the same energy, because I remember when you dissected Tony Shepard's trade, and you're going to have to make sure you keep the same energy.
JD, if I'm ever a GM and you're interviewing me, I'm going to be holding the Larry O'Brien trophy in my hands while we do the interview.
I like it.
Just know that
I can see that, and I can do the live broadcast to you right now.
He's going to be my special advisor in my front office.
I can see
Just
that.
know he's coming with me all the way.
I can see that, and I can't wait to have that earpiece in my ear and say, cross over to Mo, and I'm on the floor with you as the confetti falls down. I'm going to remember that.
Man.
But in this moment right here, I think we can all agree that Tommy Shepard and the Washington Wizards definitely won that trade. But then again, we never know what's going to happen down in LA, because with LeBron James, anything is possible.